So let's talk about some of the new features that we noticed at this meeting. And there's a good article in Epoch Times that lists some of these unique characteristics of this meeting, and I want to mention them and then comment on them. The first one, security guarantees. So Trump now says, and I think for the first time with a certain kind of clarity, yeah, we, the United States, are willing to be part of helping to guarantee Ukraine's security. Now, let's be clear what this doesn't mean. The United States is not committing any troops. This is not only, the United States is not only not letting Ukraine into NATO, but is going to keep Ukraine out of NATO. But that being said, if the Europeans create a consortium to help protect Ukraine, the United States is willing to be part of that. That's the security guarantee part. I think the Europeans were really happy to hear that, and some of them said so. Number two, Trump and Zelensky were not at odds. Remember the last time this happened, Zelensky came and J.D. Vance kind of gave him a fairly severe and pungent tongue lashing. In this case, you didn't have that. Zelensky actually he was weirdly dressed. He's a weird guy, former dancer, and so he's a freakish individual. But apparently he had a kind of special outfit made for this meeting. What I found kind of telling was there's an article in Politico that says Zelensky is going to be wearing a new outfit for this meeting, his designer said. So Zelensky evidently has a designer. This is, by the way, one of the benefits from getting into a war and getting all these countries to send you money. You can now afford to do things that you wouldn't be able to do ordinarily in your own society. And one of those apparently is to have a personal designer. But nevertheless, the tone between Trump and Zelensky was more genial, more friendly than it was the last time. Number three, the focus is no longer on the ceasefire. It's on a peace deal. So what does a ceasefire mean? You have two guys, they're punching each other. They go, ceasefire until 7 p.m. We're not going to fight anymore. A ceasefire does not resolve any issues, but it just creates a break, usually a very temporary break in the fighting, after which the fighting can easily resume. A peace deal, on the other hand, is a way of making a negotiation and saying, all right, we've settled our issue. I'll give you this, you give me that. And Trump basically goes, I like the concept of a ceasefire because it stops the killing, but guess what? We can have a deal, and even if the fighting is going on, we can still work out a deal in the process. Number four, territorial swaps. Now, what does this actually mean? Well, what it means is that Russia has retaken the Crimea, which was part of Ukraine, and Russia has no intention of giving it back. They're not going to give it back. And I think Trump has come to the recognition, as frankly has anyone else who has taken a look at the situation, that Crimea was in fact part of Russia, and it was annexed in 2014. By the way, Obama helped with that annexation process. That is not going back to Ukraine. It's now, you could say, permanently or semi-permanently part of Russia. The other problem, and this is maybe a more pressing problem, is that the Eastern European country of Ukraine has been facing some pretty heavy losses in an area called the Donbass, and this is a Russian-speaking region of eastern Ukraine. So it's a Russian-speaking part of Ukraine that abuts against Russia, and it's largely under Russian control now. And I think Putin's going to be very reluctant to give it up. So this creates an awkward situation. In fact, I think here is the potential obstacle to any kind of peace deal, because essentially, what does a peace deal mean? Russia is going to want to hold on to territory and not give it up. Now, will Russia be willing to give something else up, some other land somewhere else in return? Maybe, but chances are if they give up any land at all, and if I know Putin, he's not going to want to give up any land at all. He's going to say, well, listen, we took back what's rightfully ours. We took back a Russian-speaking area of Ukraine. And quite frankly, we fought you, you lost, and that's that. So here is a potential area where there could be a complete breakdown. But on the other hand, Ukraine is going to have to make a decision. And I think Trump is right when he says this is kind of in the hands of Ukraine. Whether Ukraine is willing to give up some of that land on the grounds that, listen, guess what? We got into this fight. Yes, Russia did invade, but the invasion was not without provocation. I think this is the complex truth of the matter. Putin is responsible for the invasion. In that sense, he started it. But he didn't start it in the sense that the underlying issues that led to the invasion, that was not started by Putin. That was started to some degree by Ukraine with a kind of egging on of the West. Hey, go poke the bear, go poke the bear, go poke the bear. And then Ukraine poked the bear, and then the bear lashed out and landed a massive blow on Ukraine, and we're living with the effects of that.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.